You may not be able to control what is happening around you. The people in your workplace, family members, colleagues, classmates, in short, people around you, you can try and influence, but you do not control how they live their life. What you can control is what happens inside of you, what you allow to enter and what you refuse to enter. And remember, what you have inside of you will determine your life. I want to talk to you about family today. One of the hardest things is for us to save and rescue our family, to bring our family to a good place mentally, emotionally, physically, to inspire, to influence our family. There are moments when you may feel hopeless, when you may feel powerless. You want to do more, you want to speak more, but it seems that your message is not getting through to your family. A good example here is in the book of Genesis, right there in the very beginning at the tree of life. We're talking about the story of Adam and Eve. Both parents, they um, disobeyed God. And when they lost their communion with God, um, they moved away from the tree of life, the Garden of Eden. And that's when everything became hard and difficult. That's when they experienced suffering. That's when they experienced murder in their family. In short, when they were near the tree of life, everything was good and well. There was harmony, there was prosperity. In short, the tree of life symbolized Jesus. And when we are close to God, things work out well. We can enjoy the protection of God. We flourish and we have the blessing of God upon our life. Now, when Adam and Eve, when both parents, husband and wife, when they moved away from God's presence, they had their children born, Cain and Abel, away from the presence of God. And Cain, at a certain moment in life, he killed his brother. Let's read about that here. Now, Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him. Think about that for a moment. We have here the third person in the history of mankind that became a murderer. Where did he get this idea? Where did he register this? Who did he copy? Nobody before him was a murderer. He had not seen this on TV because there was no TV. He hadn't heard about killing because it had never happened before. So, how could this evil idea that he orchestrated enter his mind? Very simple, because by the fall of Adam and Eve, sin entered into the world, and the kids were born away from the presence of God. They were born in sin. And no matter how good and well intentioned you are, everybody that is born today is born into the world as a sinner. That means that within us, there's a sinful nature, an evil nature that we need to overcome every single day in our lives. And without being born again, a person is not able to walk in righteousness, pleasing God. So think about that. Maybe you are in a situation like that. You are like Adam and Eve. You have never taught your children intentionally to do evil or wrong. You have not set bad examples before them intentionally. You may have committed errors or mistakes, but um, We're talking about uh, the common errors of parents simply because there's a lack of experience. Or sometimes when kids are born and you're newlyweds, you're young at age, you have less experience in life. And then as your kids grow up and you have done your very best, sacrificing for them, sending them to a good school, providing their needs, you make sure they don't lack anything. They may not live a luxurious life, but you are a provider for your kids. And you have done your very best to provide stability, and they have grown up in a safe environment. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, out of the blue, your kids, they go off track. You discover that your son is using drugs, or he's involved in a gang, or he was arrested by the police, or your daughter had a teenage pregnancy. In short, something happened to your kids that you never taught them. You have never told them to do this. Where did they get certain ideas? There was a moment perhaps that your kids, they went to your wallets and behind your back, they stole money from you. And you were shocked. Where did they learn this? Where did they get this? In short, you feel powerless as a parent, hopeless as a parent, because they're no longer 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. Now your kids have become teenagers, young adults, and they seek independence, and you're no longer able to control them. You want to inspire them, you want to influence them with the goodness of God, and you feel that they're not listening, they're not taking your advice on board, and maybe like Cain killed his brother out of nowhere, something so shocking, you can imagine how the parents felt. The story of Cain and Abel is often told looking at both brothers. But I want you to put yourself in the shoes of Adam and Eve. Maybe Adam and Eve, they were living with guilt. They must have been thinking, like, where did we go wrong? Did we miss something in his education? Is it our fault that we were expelled out of the Garden of Eden because we lost communion with God? And because of that, our kids, they grew up away from the presence of God. A lot of things that the parents could be beating themselves up for, and they must have felt terrible. They must have been reflecting, like going back in time and thinking, where's the error? Where did we go wrong with our son? Why did this happen to my family? Why me? And maybe you right now, you're in this moment that you look at your family situation and something terrible has happened, painful, hurt. Maybe you don't communicate with your kids, or maybe in your marriage there's coldness, or there's a lack of trust because of one thing that happened in your family. It has ruined and destroyed the harmony, and you feel terrible. I want you to understand that you and I, we human beings, we cannot control what happens around us. We cannot control what people do or do not do around us. And that means you cannot control your children forever as they grow up, but you can control the faith that you have inside of you. And you can control how to react to that situation in prayer, in faith, making vows, go to the altar. You can control your faith and presenting your faith to God and bringing your family, the names of your family, the photographs of your family, the life of your family, bringing them to the tree of life. If Adam and Eve one day they distanced themselves from God, there was also an opportunity for them to get close to God. something important. Adam and Eve, interestingly, when they made that mistake, they did not repent. You would have expected them to ask for forgiveness and repent so that they could restore their communion with God. And surely God was waiting for them to take the first step. And Adam and Eve, they did not take the initiative. I believe if they would have been quick to take the initiative, then their communion with God could have been restored much quicker, and their children would not have to be far away from God. So we see here that the changes that we need in our life, they begin when we act our faith. If you are going through a difficult moment in your family and you don't know what to do, I will tell you what you can do. You can pray, you can turn to God, you can bring that impossible case to God and put it in His hands. You can bring your sorrows, your pain, your suffering, and your sadness to God. And God is able to move His hand in the direction of your family and do more than what we humanly speaking, can do with words. God is able to touch the heart. God is able to touch the soul of your loved one, of your grandchildren, your siblings, your parents, your children, and He's able to speak to them, convince them. If you need a miracle in your family, then this very moment, put aside the regrets, put aside the guilt, put aside all these voices that are reminding you of the past and that make you rewind your mistakes, thinking about where did we go wrong? Why is this happening in my family? All of that is a waste of time. Rewinding the past will not change the future. All right? What you should do, invest in tomorrow by focusing on bringing your family closer to God. And this weekend, we're going to have our special event called The Family in the Tree of Life. It will take place on Sunday, October the 13th. We're going to have meetings 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m. in English and 10:30 a.m. in Chinese. So you that believe that only God is able to help you and that without Him we are nothing, then this is for you. All right? Bring your faith, scan the QR code, and get the address here that we share with you in Kowloon. For more information, speak to one of our counselors on the other side of the line, and they will listen to you non-judgmental and give you confidential advice. Your story is not over. And your family, they are very near to receiving their breakthrough. Believe in the power of God that will be able to restore unity, harmony, peace, and protection in your family. Thank you for watching, and join us again tomorrow in our Voice of Faith.
An exclusive moment to refresh your mind, body, and soul. Bond with family, and spend quality time with friends, meeting with purpose. That through one simple prayer, you can achieve great victory, because there is help from above for those who ask. With a pure heart and sincerity, There is power in agreement. Come and join us at the Mountain Prayer 2024